Up here in a tank top. What happened? No, because something else will pop out like your belly. What I'm going to do is kind of give you guys a little different look. What we'll do is, because we have 3 of the girls up here, we'll run them out one consecutively after the other. Mainly, how many of you guys either have done nationals or are inspiring to be nationals? The reason I'm saying that is because I think we've all been privy to being on a stage, and what Jamie and Jeremy are alluding to about practicing, that's where the importance comes in, because when you're on a national level stage or you're in a show that has 350 to 500 competitors, mother time is not a nice thing. So sometimes they will send people out and you have limited time. So one girl will come right out on top of the other. And so being aware of where you are and being aware of when that next person is coming, so that when you see it out the corner of your eye peripherally, you know, hey, I gotta turn this thing around and go back, get my best pose in, because that other girl, 9 times out of 10, will come right in front of you and stop right dead square in front of you, and she'll get you light. And so you want to be able to be sure that you always are aware of your positioning. So what we'll do is we'll have the girls one at a time, and then we'll kind of show you the timing so that you guys get an idea of where they come out. I will let the girls go through their posing to show you each individual. I'm going to kind of go against the grain of this, because what I'm basically going to say is do not copy them, because they pose for them. They pose what works for them. Look at what they do, look at what may be applicable to your physique, but don't copy the exact routine. And Amanda Latona can get up here and do things that I can't do, and that they can't do, because it's Amanda, it's her personality, it's who she is. Each of us have our own innate abilities, and we each have our own personality. Posing is an art, but on top of that, it's illusion. It's the illusion of what you want a panel of judges to see. They're not looking for what's right, guys. They're looking for what's wrong. So the ability to not show that is where winners come out on top, and second and third call-outs are second and third call-outs. So you want to always make sure that when you're posing, every single picture that a photographer takes should be a really good picture. Because if every picture you look at, the pose is perfect, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a pro card, or you're going to win a show, or you're going to be in the Olympia. Because you're only showing the judges what you want them to see. And I've had Olympia bikini girls win the Olympia with 2 poses. Because I was deadly afraid that their hamstrings would be seen as being a little too lean, or their waistline would be seen as a little too wide. So literally 1 or 2 poses that I knew was absolutely perfect, so you don't show anything that doesn't de-accent your body. So what we'll do, we'll let the girls start over here, and I'll let them go on their own timing, and we'll do it as they do within the NPC. Because the IFBB will walk their girls across to a T-walk, and then they'll come up and they'll do their posing. NPC will come out, if you're in the national levels, they'll have a girl here, usually a Tracy Greenwood, who will tell you that if you do not stop when she says stop, something's coming at you. So they will monitor your strides out. So the first girl will come up, and the next expediter will be here, and then they'll walk out. So we'll start with Angela Steeles, and we'll let Marquez. Yeah, she got married. Messed me all up. So we'll let Angela walk out, and now just like the NPC does. So Angela will come straight to a spot, and then she'll go into her routine. Now, usually the expediters are off to the side, and they're watching, and each person got their own little flair. Now, when an expediter sees she's turning, they'll usually send the next girl out. And then she'll come out, she sees her, curtsies out, and then the next one comes up, and she'll go through her routine. Meanwhile, waiting in the wings is your next competitor. and you can't tell underneath these clothes, they really do look good. And then the next one comes out.
You think I'm bad?
Now, what's remarkable about Chrissy is this is an Olympia figure girl who is now hopefully going to be a bikini girl. So you can make transitions and you can learn posing. Anyone can. When you guys come over, the expediters will have a line that is taped out, and they'll tell you toes to the line, and the lines are usually modeled out. A lot of times girls come off to the side and you kind of see it's almost like a jousting contest. So everybody wants to be seen, and especially when you're in the national. So one comes out, the other comes out, the other comes, and before you know it, they're all out here, and they're standing in, and there's this little section here in the middle. So the judges can see you on an angle. The most important thing to remember when you're out here on the side, you're being judged, because they're always looking at you. And they're always trying to see. If someone comes out and maybe they're not a second, maybe they're a second or a third tier in a judge's perspective, but then there's 3 girls standing over here that are so close, they'll look over to see. If you're relaxed and your belly's forward and this is here, and you're kind of just on your hips like this, and they look up and go, no, they'll go right to the other one. And so you're always making an impression. Even when you're not thinking you're making an impression, you're always making an impression. With what Jamie said and talked about, and she was correct, be careful, because again, it's always about perception. It's always about what you're trying to show a panel of judges. And every panel of judges are the same. How many of you here have had the question, what the hell are they looking for? What's this? Why did they go this way? Why did they choose? Why they chose these 3 is because that's the 3 girls on stage. They can only judge, a panel of judges can only judge what they have on a stage. So if the whole stage of bikini girls are a very athletic style bikini, that's what they have to go with. And so they work around the structure of what they have. And if the panel of judges, if the girls are all softer and curvier, and that's what they judge to. So they're always judging to who's to your left and who's to your right. And that's how they match their panel, that's how they match their bodies up. So always remember, anytime that you're showing your physique, always show your angles properly. And this is a segue into Sandy.
Well, no, only because when you said that, the one thing I do, because everybody goes, because I do it myself, you go to the pictures from the previous show or whatever show you want to look at, and a lot of times is, ooh, they went bigger, they went harder. You have to remember that that the online pictures, photos, make you look about 5 or 10 pounds heavier for a guy, a good 5 pounds for a girl, and you're going to look leaner in those photos than you do on stage. So I tell athletes, you're not striving to have that same condition or the same size that you see in the photos, okay? Because it is a little bit bigger and a little bit harder than what you actually see in person, and it does make a difference. Oh yeah, and again, Jessica just said, I usually try, especially here, and the judges do. Some judges will be happy to stay around and talk to athletes afterwards. Sometimes it gets to be midnight, nobody wants to stay around and talk to anybody. You can email the judges. I've been trying to forward some of the emails, because like I was just saying, I've got well over 2,000 emails in my queue right now that I'm trying to wade through. But again, I will, as long as you say, send this to some of the other judges, I try to forward to some of the other judges so that, that you get the answer a little bit quicker than you do if you're just waiting. But again, like I said, lots of times at the shows, I kind of got away from it for a while because it seemed like the shows were so long, but I'd much rather talk to the athletes, if athletes want to stay around. The only thing is though, like I said, lots of times athletes think, like they were the second or third call out, that if you go to a judge, like he's going to have a list of things to tell you that you need to change. And lots of times, especially at the national level, at the bigger shows, it's not, because the athletes are so good. It's only a couple minor things. And I think some athletes think, well, that couple things can't make me go from what I thought I should be in the first call out to the third call out, but it can, because the quality right now of the athletes is become so good. It's like I said, like at the Olympia, guys that were athletes that were winning shows on the regional, on the regional level of the pro shows were 15th and 16th at the Olympia, and it was not that they were out of condition or out of shape. It's just that's how good the quality was. It showed it was really, really hard to judge.
And kind of finishing up on that note, I'm going to kind of defend Sandy for just a second here. If you guys go, if you go to a judge or you email a judge and you ask for their opinion, A, understand this is a subjective sport. B, don't argue with their opinion, because they're just telling you what they see. They see a certain structure or they see things a certain way. What you feel has validity, use it, implement it, use it to help you get better. But sitting there and jousting and arguing, it doesn't, you're not going to change their opinion of what, that's their opinion, that's how they feel. So always understand, when you get opinions, it will vary from judge's perspective to judge's perspective, and rightfully so, because that's what makes our sport unique. Everyone sees the, physique differently. Everyone sees things in a different perspective. So if you ask for advice and they offer advice, what you can use, and what you may not feel, fits the bill, just don't worry about it.
Absolutely, and I always tell athletes, go to more than one judge. Always, I always say, because if you go to 2 or 3 judges, you'll get something from one judge. If 2 out of 3 judges say to you, you need to tighten up your lower body, I'd start with that. You do. So again, and I don't care who it is, whether it's your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever it is. Get more than one person from the judges. Get more than one person's feedback, and see where the common thread is. And I will tell you, 99% of the time, the athletes already know what they need to do, and sometimes they just want that, that feedback reinforced. I will be honest with you, some judges feel very uncomfortable. I've been doing this for a long time, but some judges feel very uncomfortable because we'll look at 400 athletes and somebody will come and they really can't remember, and they did maybe write notes on everybody. You know what I mean? So but they don't feel comfortable saying, I don't have a note on you, or I can't remember. You know what I mean? I have no problem saying that, because I'm not going to tell you that you need to do something just to have something to say to you, okay? But some judges do. They get, because they do want to try to remember everybody, and when somebody's up on stage, they think that they're going to remember it. But I will tell you, when you come down off stage and close, it's really hard to remember 500 or 700 of you. Yes. So, and what's really, that's one of the nice things online, because when somebody emails me, this is what I do. Not so much in the pre-judging, because especially now, this show won't be, but at some of the national shows, it's so quick. If you're head judge and you're trying to control the overall flow of the show, it's very difficult to take notes. I do most of my notes in the evening when the athlete's up there and I'm not judging. Okay, so and I really do try to get hit at least 1 or 2 things on every athlete. So when somebody emails me, A, I look at my notes, and 2, I do go online, but and that's why when athletes say, I'll send you a picture, I don't want to see an individual picture. That does nothing for me. I go back and I look at the lineup. I look at what call out you were in, or I pull your photo off online, and I pull off the winner of your class out online from the same show, because it's the same lighting, same angle. And athletes, you should do this too, and then I look at them to see where you are compared to the people above you, and that gives me a better perspective of how you looked on stage in a lineup. Now again, if somebody's very heavy, there's obvious things, it's one thing, but lots of times, it's not. And then I see an athlete by themselves and I go, oh, they look really good. But then when I see the lineup, I go, oh, okay, the lineup, everybody's a little bit tighter, you're just a little bit too soft. You know what I mean? It gives you just a better overall perspective on that day, what you look like compared to what was there. Does that make sense? Yeah, I do like the website. I do like the photos for that. It gives me a better idea of where to compare everybody with. Okay.
And what we did, we had Jessica come up and join us, because I wanted to show you how to hip check another team's girl off to the side. What we're going to do is I want to give you, because Jessica and Jane did a great job of explaining a lot of things. I want to show you from a comparison standpoint, moves and what a judging panel may do. So you have four athletes on the stage, and usually you have numbers on the stage, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So naturally, your center lighting is your best lighting. It doesn't always mean the winner is going to be dead center, but you want to be around the center because that's the best lighting going in and out, and that's peripheral, the best vision of your center panel judges.
That's why I have the best seat in the house.
Exactly. So the girls are all lined in. If they're switching you around, normally, and this will be different for every person who teaches you. Normally, what I tend to do is I tend to have my athletes take a step back and cross, because that way, A, they keep their judges in their eyesight, B, they don't turn their butts to the judges. So if you turn your glutes and that's a soft area, they're going to see it. So usually I step them, sidewalk them, and then step them up, so their vision line is always in. So let's say if they're going to change the ends, so we're going to change Jessica and Chrissy, usually they'll step back, and then they'll walk across, or Jessica could come up. Always keeping your vision line. Then they come back in and they're back. Now if Chrissy and Angela switch, then they'll come in and they'll step across, and then they'll come up. You can even see with the pros is strict, because they're looking to see who doesn't want to run into who, because it's like a train wreck waiting to happen.
But if you notice, when you said Christy and Angela's name, they both raised their hand, and that's what that's what the athletes do, because we usually have an expediter. Whatever show you're at, they will have an expediter on stage, especially like I said at the bigger shows, and the expediters unfortunately have no idea who you are. And so by raising their hand, then they realize who to judge, which two athletes that the judges want changed, and they'll just help you. Because same thing too, most of the time the athletes don't know each other. You know what I mean? And they don't know that 32 is at the end and that's who you want me to change with. So they're just there to help, again, the flow of the of the show.
Now, one thing I can tell you is judges will get agitated if they go number 35, number 35. Memorize your numbers. They don't know your names. Memorize your numbers, because when they ask you to switch, they're going to want those numbers to switch in. And if they're asking an angle, they're going to want you to turn. So the girls are all in here. Now what we'll do is we'll kind of show you through a comparison. What you're doing is in bikini, they'll go front and back comparisons. So they'll have the girls come in. Now notice you've got all different types of fronts in. Usually I have my girls kind of pay attention to where the lineups are, because sometimes if you got an out and out and out and a bend, the bend has a different look. So it's hard to compare this look to this look. So from a comparison standpoint, your eyes see equal, and then different. Now, it doesn't mean that it may be a bad thing, right? It just means it's different. So unless that's real flattering, then they may tend to look at the three that are posed exactly alike, and they will automatically start to gauge those three. Sometimes they'll forget about an outside because it's a different look and it's a different pose. So when they'll have you just face in, then they'll say, okay, girls, face the back. Each person does a turn, each person hits their back pose. They'll hold the back pose. I've always said, and I'll always say it probably until I die next year, shows are won from the backside. It's just been my experience. 90%. Especially the bikini. So, this is where conditioning comes in, this is where shape comes in, this is where lines come in. And so, again, each girl holds her pose in a way that they feel best exemplifies their physique. Then they'll say, okay, girls turn back around forward, so the girls will step, turn around, and they go right back into their forward pose. And so, two most important things: stay in the line so everybody's in an equal line, so that nobody gets in and out of the line. The line that's in the center line, it's here for a reason. It's there because it's the best lighting spots, and sometimes if you come up too far or sometimes you get back too far, the lighting hits you differently from everybody else, which could cause a shadow, or it could hide things in your physique that you're trying to show off. Number two, be careful when you're moving around. Just always keep your eyes, peripherally who's by you, in front, back who's by you. And then show your poses where your poses best fit, your physique, not anybody else's physique. It's the pose that best fits, your body. So this gives you a little bit of an example. Now, not a lot, but I've seen Sandy do it on occasion, where she's had the girls, in their heels here, she'll have them jump to see who has the best balance. And every now and then she'll walk through it. And you don't see it a lot in the local, the national qualifying shows. You will see it in national sometimes, and you will see it at the pro level sometimes. What it basically is these four may be so close that they're looking for something to give them that differential that separates the girls out. So why don't you guys come up here, and what we'll do is...
You're being serious. I was like, where are you going?
Not to the jumping land. So they'll have the girls face the back.
Yep, and then I usually say, face the back, hand on either hip, walk into that back curtain, hold it when you get there. And face forward and walk it back. And for some reason, the audience just likes this whole flow right there.
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me which one of the girls is secretary. Which one comes out of the gate fast and just whoosh, flies in there. It's not a race. It's not a 20-yard dash. So everybody will go at their own speed, and everybody will do a walk that fits theirs. Try not to be, some girls can be over exaggeratory, and by that I mean they can shift their hips, they can bounce, they can, and everything's fine. Others can't do it because they lose their balance, things start to wiggle and jiggle. And
I think we need to let these girls off this. I was just going to say, I mean, this is a good way for all of you to lose water by tomorrow.
Well, that was the plan, actually. So she just took away my plan.
Okay, you're going to stay up on stage because you can lose water, and Miss Jamie's going to judge you because she's nice enough to do figure for me.
Okay, thank you guys. I was cheating to try to get the girls to hydrate.
It's been a while, you're going to have to teach me, Coach.
Oh, okay. This girl and I have fought a lot, for years, a lot of times. Jamie's been around. I came into the sport just shortly after the Civil War, and things have changed quite a bit. Jamie's an Olympia level athlete, and she's been doing the sport for a while. We trained together for a long time, and she has a good physique. So what we like to do is show you guys a little bit. How many of you guys are figure? We got to keep figure coming. Keep coming back and figure. With figure is different from bikini. Bikini, you have the right to expression. You're not kind of locked into structure, and you have the ability to play with the judges a little bit more. Just like men's physique has a little bit more explanation that they can express themselves than bodybuilding does. And so with figure, they're looking at structure. So Jamie comes in, and again, we'll do an NPC. Usually the girls will come in and they'll either center up or they'll go into a model pose. What we'll do is we'll run her quarter turns first. So if you notice, with quarter turns, you're always going to be square across the shoulders, and you breathe your diaphragm up. You don't want to over-breathe it up, but you got to remember, again, like Sandy had told you, the judges are down. So there's just a slight tilt to the upper body torso so that the judges are looking square into you. And then you slightly tilt your pelvis back so that you drop the waistline in, and then you keep the legs nice and tight. Foot position, 99.9% of the time, is about the size of your quads. And so if you're trying to create sweep to your legs, then you put your feet out about 3 or 4 fingers apart. If you're trying to bring the legs together so that the lower body does not overpower the upper body, then you're going to bring the toes in a little bit more. There's lots of different ways that you do quarter turns. Some girls step out and turn, some girls step back and turn. Either way is fine. Just be careful, if the flooring is slippery and you step out, make sure your foot is solid on where you turn it. I like to keep the girls in kind of a small box. So you see how Jamie keeps her foot in, and then again, she turns. There's a little gap here that you want to show so that you can see the waistline. So if this arm comes up and blends into here, then it distorts what you can see from a waistline side shot. Her shoulders again are square. You don't want to pull your shoulder all the way back because then you're hiding the back head of the crown of the shoulder, which now starts to hide some of the fullness in the deltoid. You don't want to look shallow across the top of the chest, so she keeps the top of her chest square. Her back shoulder's here, her arm is in. Some of the girls will kind of over-exaggerate, the arms come out. You want to keep that arm at your side so it doesn't look like you're a human coat hanger. And then feet, normally I have my girls angle their feet backward, back on 45, just a little bit, so that what you're doing is you're turning the hamstring, belly of the hamstring into the judges. Now you can ratchet your waistline back a little bit. And it's always going to be about VT. It's always going to be about waist. Quarter turn to the right. Now figure different from bikini, they move their hair. Again, flat across the back. Some of the toughest poses for girls to do is keeping their back flat and keeping their shoulders down. A lot of times you'll notice these little chicken wings will pop out, and usually it's because either A, you're contracting your back, which now makes her back look twice as small as her lower body, or B, they turn their shoulders over, which then activates the trap, and it gives you that little hump back, like that turtle back. And so you want to keep your shoulders squared, you want to keep your back flat, you keep the small of your back nice and tight, just a slight bend to the glutes. Again, just like bikini, you don't want to lean all the way over. In figure, they're trying to judge you. They're judging the width of your shoulders to the small of your waist, to the sweep of your quads, to your glute ham tie-ins. So unlike bikini, where they tend to look at things in a picture, here they look at it segmented, how things blend and flow with everything else. So she's flat across the back here, her small of her back is in, and then her legs are tight and her calves are in. Quarter turn to the right, and same thing here. Now notice how subtly she moved her hair as she was turning. What you want to be able to do is, the idea is move the hair while you're turning, so when you hit your position, you're set. Because what happens is if you're fumbling around and playing and those judges switch to that next thing, just when you get set, they're gone. They're off to the next pose. And you're stuck there in the side pose and you've lost your comparison time. So make sure you're standing across, again, tummy in, chest up, and waistline's in, quarter turn to the right. And then again, straight out. So like anything else, it's about fluidity. It's about being very fluid with your movements. The more confident you are, the more it shows in your posing. The way you get confident, practice, practice, practice. Hand positionings, we've seen like 50 billion type hands. We've seen the pistol, the shovel, the cat claws. They've had every different thing. We saw the umbrella where the arms come out here, which then this starts to disappear. So there's, the bottom line is relax. Relax your hands. Let your body flow, take its natural. And then that way you come in and everything has a natural flow to it. Now, going into the entry poses where it's the model poses, when you come in, there's two ways to do model poses. Some girls will have their legs straight. And again, this tends to be more about the size of your quads than anything else. If you've got smaller, thinner legs, and you've got a full upper body, then you don't want to elongate the muscle because now you're going to look kind of like a lollipop. Like this will be down and then this out big. So you're going to want to bend the leg so that you create more fullness, and you turn your knee in so that now she gets the fullness of her hamstring in, she gets the sweep of her quad. Now this matches the fullness up here. And vice versa. If your legs are a little fuller, then you go in, turn that leg, lengthen that line down, so now this part aesthetically matches up to here. So this is her first model pose, then she'll go to her back, and again, her hair gets moved, and breathes in. Again, square across here, slight tilt here, engage the hamstring so everything looks nice and tight. Back to her last, and then right back out. Now, usually when you're looking at your feet position in your model pose, you normally, and again this varies per girl, you normally want your hip pointing straight into the head judge. Reason being is going here and then pulling it around, you're pulling your waistline down and you're dropping your waistline in. The more your body line opens up, the wider you go across through the midsection. So figure will always be about little waistlines. Just like bikini is always about little waistlines. And men's physique, I mean, waistlines are, it's a very strong tool to have in your toolbox, trust me.
It's been a while.
James Donovan killing it under these lights. But that's the basics of doing your posing. And I'm going to hand the mic to Jamie and let her talk a little bit, because I want you to hear an athlete's perspective on top of an old trainer's perspective.
Well, you covered it well. For me, figure is very regal. So making sure you're keeping the chest lifted all the time. Like Kim says, it's all about the small waistline. So it's going to depend on your physique as to what looks best. And so it's really important to analyze what looks best, especially from the model pose, which is one pose where we have a little bit more flexibility. Front and back pose, there's only some slight variations we can do with how far apart the toes are, how much you're pushing the hips back versus pulling the rib cage in. It kind of depends on your physique as to what's going to look best. So you have to kind of play with that, but then practice, make sure that you really have it, down. I got feedback from a judge one time that if I tilted too much, it made me look a little rounder in the belly, and that when I turned to the side, they could tell I didn't have a belly, but from the front, I was a little too arched. So something little like that was the difference between first and second for me, at that show. So, it's really important to know your body and what you can get away with and what you need to present.
And know your levels. The local level to the national level to the pro level. I can't tell you how many girls I've had that's come up to me and go, I want to pose just like Ava Collin, I want to pose just like so-and-so, or Nicole Wilkins. The only problem is you're not. You're you. And you have to remember, you have to pose to what the protocol is. So protocol at each one of those levels is different. So when you're looking and you're comparing, compare local to local, national to national, and pro to pro. If you're a muscular physique, don't overemphasize your posing. You're going to come off as women's physique because you're going to show a little too much detail and a little too much crispness. And Sandy will be the first to tell you that's different every single show. This tomorrow's show, most of the level of the athletes might be light detail, not a lot of separation, good fullness. Well, that's what you're going to get judged on, and that's what the panel's going to judge. But again, know your physique. If you're a little bit more to the muscular side, don't overemphasize. And I call it shaking syndrome. Sometimes if you start to get up there and you start to over squeeze and it gets your anxiety levels up. And if you had 3 or 4 fat burners before you hit the stage, now you're like cracked out and squeezing all at the same time, and everything starts to shake and you can't stop shaking with your body. And the more you try to stop shaking, the less you can stop shaking, and you kind of wobble yourself right on out of there. So by staying calm, when you're over here at this end, take a deep breath. It's okay. I mean, literally, what's the worst that can happen is you fall down. Fine, get up and keep posing. But if you relax and just enjoy yourself, 99% of the time, everything's going to be fine. But just as every single pro that was up here explained to you, practice, 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 practice. Because there is no substitution for the stage. There isn't. So to do as many shows as you can and to get practice and run things through, that's what's going to get you to the next level.
Right, and what Kim said is perfect, and what I like to say is what you resist persists. So if you keep thinking, I'm shaking, if you focus on it, it's just gonna get worse. So if you could get outside of yourself, everybody's shaking. I mean, the first pro show I ever did, I couldn't believe some of the people I had looked up for so long were shaking in front of me on the stage, and I'm like, okay, I'm not the only one nervous, cool. So it's okay if you're shaking a little, they're not gonna count it against you, so just don't focus on it too much. And then just one other thing I wanna say about figure, it's all about balance and symmetry. So we focus a lot on too much muscle, too little muscle, too lean. You know, make sure you're looking at your balance and your symmetry. Is your upper body matching your lower body? Is the right matching the left? Are the arms too big for the shoulders? I mean, it's really important to look at those things first, I believe, from an overall standpoint, and then start from there, you know, creating the balance, creating the symmetry, and then, you know, figuring out how lean you need to be in those kind of things.
Does anybody have any questions about anything regarding anything, posing or anything? Speak up or be shot on the bar. You better